Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, let's talk about the GOP, how they're looking to defund the police. Can you believe that? Yeah, I'm going to share with you the latest from House Speaker Mike Johnson, what he had to say about the issue. Also, Alabama, the state of Alabama is taking a stand against diversity, equity, and inclusion with their latest bill, Senate Bill 129. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, later on, we'll talk about the ongoing viral sensation of Reesa Teesa. That's right, the TikToker has officially gone Hollywood, and some people got some things to say about it. We'll discuss that. And later, let's talk about black hairstylists versus their clients. There is a number of black women who are disgruntled with the hair care industry because they seem like the stylists just aren't professional, that they're more concerned about social media likes than actually doing quality work. We'll have that conversation. So stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Make sure you do your part. Follow us on social media at blackstarnetwork.com. Download and make sure that you follow Big Brother Roland Martin at Roland S. Martin, as well as yours truly, Farajii Muhammad at The Real Farajii. I would love to connect with you on social media, on Instagram and on not TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but Instagram, Twitter, X platform, and Facebook. So make sure y'all follow me there. Also, we are streaming live on our home network of Black Star Network. Just go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. And of course, we ask for just some donation, a minor donation to help us continue to power through this digital space as we provide you with news and information that is pertinent to Black America. So just go to our website today at blackstarnetwork.com, and we thank you for your support. Now, folks, we're also streaming on Amazon platforms. You can find us on Amazon. We're on Amazon News on your Fire TV. We're on Amazon Prime Video. So just go to the Prime Video app on Live and then hit Live TV, the news, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, the Live TV, the news. We're also on the Freevee network, where you can find us there on now under News for Black Star Network and Plex TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network on Plex TV or find us under Live TV, the news and opinion. Now, we're also streaming on Big Brother Roland Martin's social media pages. That's right. You can check us out on his social media on Facebook. You can check us out there, as well as Big Brother Roland Martin's YouTube channel. And big shout out. There we go. Big shout out to all of the culture crew that are on the X platform, on the Facebook platform. Let me get that word out. And on the YouTube chat, as we have all these conversations and folks are checking in. Let me see who's online. Who's in the room today? I see y'all. Pauline Hurtming, Natasha Serge, I see you. Tiana, I see you. Big Brother Willie Frazier, I got you. Hey, Culture Crew. Hey, ABX Girl. Thank you for once again joining us. Pastor Damon Blissett, my brother, thank you for joining us again. Brian Christian, I see you. Torrance Lindo, thank you for being a part of the conversation. Let me see who else is. Wayne Conger. Thank you, Dwayne Conger. Thank you so much, Brad, for checking in. Darrell Jones, thank you, brother, for checking in as well. Kathleen Davis, good to connect with you once again. Who else we got here? Shanna March. Shanna said this is her first time watching. So hello, everyone. Shanna, welcome to the chat. And I hope that you enjoy your time with us this afternoon. And we get to hear from you a little bit later on today as we have these conversations. So welcome, welcome, welcome. My brother, Official Sanika, thank you for checking in. Randy, thank you so much for liking and subscribing to us. We truly appreciate that. And Cindy D, My sister, thank you for checking in. Jacqueline Boateng, thank you so much as well. We truly, truly appreciate. So thank all of you for tuning in. And for folks coming in, definitely let your friends and family know that we are starting the show today. All right, folks, let's talk about it. I am going to be joined by my brother, who is a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist. He is an activist. He's an advocate. Always got something thoughtful to say on these topics. And so we welcome him back as one of our great contributors here on the Culture on the Black Star Network, my brother Sinedu Wakofor. Brother Sinedu, happy Thursday, big brother. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Let's first talk about this situation with your favorite political party. The Republicans, the GOP. And if you haven't checked this out, man, like Mike Johnson, who serves as the House Speaker for the GOP, he did a press conference where he announced that the Republicans were going to essentially start to cut costs on some of the law enforcement agencies within the federal government. How about that? The GOP is looking to defund the police, and they do. Let me share with you what Mr. Johnson has to say, and I think Lise also, if we have an opportunity, let's see if we can pull up some video too of Mr. Johnson. But this is what he said. He said, "We are also advanced. As you've seen the summary cuts to some of the agencies that we believe are really overreaching and have been turned in some way against the American people." He said, "We're going to cut 3% from the Department of Justice, 7% from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, 6% from the FBI, and 10% from the EPA, and that's just the start." He said, "We did get conservative policy wins here. We got cuts to the agencies, some of them that are the worst offenders and going after the people they're supposed to protect and serve. There's a lot to champion here." Okay, Mr. Johnson, you've made some cuts to some of these law enforcement agencies. And there are some people who are saying on the other side, Brother Sinedu, according to one media outlet called Punchbowl News, they had a report saying that some of the cuts that Mr. Johnson is claiming aren't quite as dramatic as they appear to be at first glance. There are cuts, they're just not huge cuts, because they're saying if the cuts were really that dramatic, Democrats likely would have balked and there wouldn't have been a deal. But he's kind of like shaving off a little something there. What do you make of this? And is this a turn chapter for the GOP? Do they finally get it that maybe we shouldn't put so much into law enforcement agency and use that money in the other productive means? What's your take?
I think this has nothing to do with law enforcement. I think that's the very latter half. This is about togetherness. When defund the police was a big thing on the Democratic side, more or less, with the what's their name? That's the group, the squad. That's from
with the AOC and all of those.
Talib and all of them, right? When
right.
their side was kind of pushing this, defund the police, it's the old guard of the Nancy Pelosi and co. were basically saying we don't want to, and they switched the narrative and told that side to calm down. And you see the GOP now has gotten on. I think in this moment it's important to learn a trick that sometimes it's not about the policy, it's about the politics. And I think what the GOP is really good at is standing by their own. We watched how a GOP refused a once Merrick Garland to be the Supreme Court justice. They refused Obama's decision when he had about a year and some change left. They refused the decision, saying it was too close. Yet when Ruth Bader Ginsburg was barely in the fridge, the same person, Mitch McConnell, rushed and we got Amy Coney Barrett in less than 45 days. The same way they rushed on. The reason why I bring up these examples is look at two parties. The problem I have in this situation is that whether I like it or not, the Republicans show some strength by how they stick to a collective. The Democrats are scared of the different factions of the Democratic Party. There is a part of it where we don't come together, and I think it makes it easy to manipulate. That's why when people spoke against defund the police, it was easy to tear down. Oh, I'm not a defund the police, and you even heard Biden say it. Fund them. He said it at a State of the Union. So I just think holistically what Mike Johnson is doing is what Republicans always do. They switch the narrative, switch the name, but it's the same age-old game. And I will lastly say the reason why a lot of, I would say, tyranny are coming to place and a lot of things are unraveling is because these Republicans, at the very least, are smart enough that the wild left and their wild right still stick to a plan, unlike the Democrats who seem to be up and down in an undulating motion.
Wow. So here's the thing, though, and this is very interesting. First, the first thing, it's like you're talking about 3%, you're talking about 7%, you're talking about small numbers. Now, my question would be to the GOP. Okay, so if you're making these small cuts, right? If you're making these small cuts, where's that money going to? Where's that the money that's been cut from the FBI, from the DOJ, the ATF? Where is that money going to now, right? That's one thing. But then if you're cutting back on that, and this is supposed to be the party of quote unquote law and order, where is that part? How does that stand? Now, if you're making these cuts, where is this still the party of law and order? That's the second one. And then the third one, T.W, good to connect with you, man. Thank you so much for checking in. T. You said something, which might be interesting. It's kind of funny, but at the same time, given where we are right now with this Republican Party, it's interesting. T. says they're cutting the agencies that investigate them. So if we are looking at all these different factors, you know what I'm saying? Then what are we going to have left? What's going to be the future for these cuts? Where's the money coming from? Where's the money going? What kind of success rate? What do we expect these agencies to do? And does T. on something where he's like, hey, these agencies are starting to, especially if they're trying to clear the path for. Let me see. What's that guy's name that they got to serve as nominee? Clearing the path for Donald Trump. Would it be completely insane? Would it be completely out of the ordinary that they're kind of creating the space for Donald Trump so they can say, oh, okay. I mean, it can go down the conspiracy theory hole, but at the same time, this is not what the GOP normally does. So what is really underlining all of these cuts to these law enforcement agencies? That's what I'm getting at, Sinead.
I think when we look at the Supreme Court justice that made a ruling that said all of the justices, I think all was it 9?
Yeah,
whatever.
There was 9-0.
All 9 agreed that Donald Trump cannot be taken off the ballots because of this and that. And theoretically, I agree with their decision because the real decision that they're going to make is in April, and that's the one that we need to know. Was he guilty of an insurrection? And what I am believing to what you're saying is not to just say conspiracy theory, is let's follow the way that this group has moved. Who knows? Because if that Supreme Court ruling finds that he didn't have anything with that insurrection, these people might be preparing the way for when he comes back and does exactly what he says, and I quote, I'm going to have a vengeance day one. So they might be preparing.
And let's not forget this, brother. The fact that when he comes back, that he does have a plan for these law enforcement agencies, right? To try to consolidate in some way, shape, or form. He's literally trying to restructure how the government works if he gets back into office.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the most concerning part for a lot of people, not just for Black folks in this country, but for folks across the country, you know, Black, white, Asian, Latino, that here you have a presidential candidate who says that once he's getting in office, he's looking to restructure in a very, very dramatic way. And I'm wondering if this is connected to that. Now, again, that's trying not to go down the conspiracy theory hole, but you have to at least ask the question. You got to at least ask the question.
It's important to ask. And again, the reason why I say it's important to go down all these rabbit holes, because this is what I know. In November, when November comes, if the man does win, people always do this. We didn't see this coming. We wanted y'all asses now. This is what's happening. Because remember, Trump has never been the smartest person. But all those acolytes, the ones who went to school and did very well, those are the ones that we fear. The Mike Johnsons, the folk that will do anything for him, the Ted Cruzes. These are the folks that are behind the scenes planning. Now, if this man doesn't win this election, then in my opinion, we don't have to worry about him again. But it's a vacuum. And I think people should really be paying attention. And this is and again, I like how you framed it, defund the police. I like how the articles are framing it, because that's what it is. But at the same time, you have Texas Governor Greg Abbott trying to build a military base at the damn border. Make it make sense, as they say.
Absolutely. Now, it was also, and we got to take a quick pause. The GOP also has been fighting. Take a listen to this, folks, that GOP lawmakers have spent the last 14 months desperately trying to strip funding for the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, which is part of the federal law enforcement. But Mr. Johnson's efforts and comments this week were a timely reminder that Republicans are equally eager to target funds for the Justice Department, the FBI, and the ATF. They're looking to do something. Something is happening. Something is really happening with law enforcement agencies and the possibility of Republicans getting back to some sense of power in this government. We got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we'll continue the conversation, get your thoughts as well, folks. Stay with us. We're just getting started here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat to The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, you're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
Some angry
pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my brother, Brother Sinead Wakwa, diversity, equity, inclusion specialist. He's also an activist and advocate and political thinker. And we're talking about the latest announcement coming from House Speaker Mr. Mike Johnson, who said that the GOP are making some cuts to law enforcement agencies. And folks are kind of scratching their heads as to why this is happening now. Now, we've been referencing an article, or rather a written, an op-ed by Mr. Steve Bennon. Mr. Steve Bennon, who has is a producer for the Rachel Maddow show. He wrote this piece. But he brings up this one last point as we look at what the Republicans, the GOP, are up to, given the fact that this is supposed to be the party of law and order. And this is also the party that has often said that they do not stand behind the philosophy or the idea of defunding the police. And now they look like they're defunding the police. Mm-hmm. Now, here's what Mr. Bennon, the writer, said. He said the speaker didn't grudgingly point to these cuts as necessary budgetary moves in an era of belt tightening. Rather, he touted these cuts as justified political punishments for agencies that Republicans are mad at. I just want y'all to think. He touted these cuts as justified political punishments for agencies that Republicans are mad at. What in the world is happening in America, Sinead, where people in government who are supposed to be advocates of the government, representatives of the people to ensure that the government works for the people, now, I'm telling you, we got to do a conversation. We got to have a conversation about this. Now we're looking at the possibility that those who could come into power on the Republican side might be even trying to destroy certain parts of the government that they don't like to hold them accountable. I'm going to keep throwing this word out here. It's called nihilism. Y'all familiar with this? Mm-hmm. Nihilism. There are a number of social and political scientists that are looking at this phenomenon called American nihilism. And it is when you actively reject and go against the very institutions of the system that you are supposed to represent. If anybody talk, just Google it. Just Google it. And turning away from it, I mean, theirs is an active effort to destroy the systems and the institutions of this system, in a very serious way. We saw that on January the 6th. That's very big extreme case of American nihilism, that you would go so far as to run up in the capital of your country to destroy it, right? To destroy it for political means. This is serious. And now political and social scientists now, Brother Shanadu, are very concerned in this country that American nihilism is becoming very popular, especially among the Republicans, the GOP. Talk to me, brother. What's your take? You got something to say. I can feel it in your heart, mind, and spirit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I just, what I think is very dangerous is the standard of what is protestable becomes questionable. There was an article that mentioned that the MAGA cohort collective, Tiki Torch Whites, they have been trying to find a way to conflate January 6th with, I think this happened in the 50s or 60s with the Cubans, where they stormed the Capitol. But that was for actual freedom, for actual repression. And I think again, the power of law in this country is ethics. You take ethics and morals out and say it's the law. Remember, racism was the law. Slavery was the law. And I think that's what they're doing again. But we are so much more smarter. We've gotten so much more in this time frame. I think it is time for those folks who call themselves allies, because in my opinion, the president currently, Joseph R. Biden, who is against Trump and his group and their the way that they're operating or trying to operate in our government. But you know what I find interesting? You're not loud enough. When we're talking about Israel, you hear them, Joe Biden will even say it for himself. I am definitively a Zionist. Go look at, he said it hundreds of times, right? Very definitive, very cutthroat, da-da-da. But when it comes to calling the colleagues on the other side of the aisle what they really are, when it comes to saying what they're trying to do will actually do to Black people who are still trying to get the rights, or Hispanic folks and so on, no one is as definitive. And that's why I think there's a danger here. There is a hardcore Republican, but at the end of the day, this is not about Republican, Democrat. It's whiteness. This is all whiteness to me, because the other side doesn't seem so upset. And it reminds me of when Donald Trump made that point. If y'all remember at the 2016 debate against Hillary Clinton, when he said, she talks about me being a thief, but she had all those years to change the tax code. And she didn't, because her friends are donors and they enjoy the same tax code that is when, and Dave Chappelle talked about it on Saturday Night Live. That is when you saw that this wasn't a them over there. And this is a white power structure situation that's going on here that is being cloaked and identified as Republican, Democrat. And there's a lot of danger, because then that puts our Black asses, and I say it like that because we just floating in the middle. And that's what we've been for 400 years.
That's a lot. You're absolutely right. That's a lot. Real Brooklyn, my guy, you checked in and said they don't have to, quote unquote, destroy a system that holds them accountable. Laws are inconvenience to most and a convenience to few. The laws will always favor the lawmakers versus anyone else. But they're willing to destroy the system. See, this is when you start to get into a place now, and I hear you, Real Brooklyn. I think you are absolutely right, but I think they're willing to destroy the system for what? Look, when we first started talking about the conversation about defunding the police, Trayvon Martin was killed back in 2012, I believe it was.
Yes, 2012.
President Obama was still in office, right? And then you had those rash of killings that we started to see more and more of, right? Mike Brown and many others, right? We can name. And then you're talking about from 2012 all the way up. This has been the call. But that for at least a good 5 to 6 years, maybe 7 years from 2012. Let's just take it to 2020, from 2012 to 2020 with George Floyd, there's been that call to defund the police. Now in 2024, The GOP responds and say, hey, we're defunding the police. We're cutting back on certain things. Now, is that the call of the people right now? I mean, it may be, but we really want to get a bill talking about police accountability, police brutality, qualified immunity. It's not just about the money. It's about the fact that let's have some more scrutiny in terms of the policy and accountability for officers. But why are you waiting till 2024 to have this conversation? Now you responded in 2024. Well, what's happening in 2024 that is causing us to have a conversation? Now you want to go back to the agencies, the FBI, the ATF, and all of these agencies, these federal agencies, right? The Department of Justice, these federal agencies, and now you want to start cutting in 2024. Well, it's just interesting because the timing looks as if now that we know Trump is going to be the nominee for the GOP, now you want to get this, as Mr. Steve Bannon said for this piece for NBC, some sort of political punishment. Now you want to, okay, now we got a target on our back. Look, remember, Brother Sinead and crew, when there was Trump was in office, he did not trust the analysis, the data, the assessments of any of the major federal law enforcement federal agencies. He already put that out there. He had a beef with the Department of Justice. He had a beef with the FBI and ATF. He had a beef with all of these agencies. He has a beef with them. So now we're in this point, it looks like Trump is moving forward. Now we're talking about something else. Now we're talking about, oh, for the American people. You didn't even say that's, hey, for those who have been killed by the police, it's just a budgetary cut. Oh, it's just, we made some cuts. But what was the reason? What was the tipping point for the cuts to be made? Culturally, what was the tipping point? A lot of questions. A lot of questions. CC Knight, you said there's a headline today, 45 suddenly facing prospect of a new indictment. Wow. 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 Tiana, my sister, thank you, CC. Tiana, my sister, you said this is nothing more than revenge, plain and simple. Yep. The Big Cheese, thank you for joining us. You said what happened to the black anti-hate crime bill promised by Joe Biden? Okay. Yep. Brian Christian, my brother, you said white America has a warped view of my brother's keeper, doesn't it? Something is really, really happening. Tonight is the president's State of the Union. And as much as he's going to talk about the tax plan and the tax code, he's going to certainly talk about Gaza. But he's continuing his promise to try to keep, and he's going to present it this way. Are you on the side of those who are going to hold the wealthy accountable? Are you on the side of those who are going to stand with women's rights? Are you on the side of those who want to make sure that the institutions of democracy stand for the next 4 years? Or are you on the other side? That's going to be his theme for tonight. Very interesting. And then, like with this announcement, I think we should all be getting into the detective thinking. You know, back in the day, Brother Sinead, the teachers used to say, put your thinking caps on.
Caps on.
Put your thinking caps on. We got to put our thinking caps on and start connecting the dots as to ask questions like, why is this happening now? What should we expect? What is the impact of these cuts? And more importantly, is something else coming behind these cuts that will benefit the GOP? Because we are seeing it, and this is both parties, but we definitely see it, that the GOP don't make no type of move like this unless it's for their complete benefit. And you're talking about a party, and you're talking about parties that will do whatever it takes to stay in power or to get into power. You got to think like that. All right, look, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. Cindy D, you said it's cutting the very people and agencies that hold them accountable. It's nothing more than the George Floyd bill without George Floyd or the actual bill. Come on. I love it. Cindy, thank you. Love it. Absolutely love it. So we will have to see. Look, we got to take a quick pause. Sinead, on the other side, let's talk about the state of Alabama. how they're standing against diversity, equity, inclusion, and how college students are saying, no, you won't. We're going to talk about the latest with SB 129 down in the state of Alabama, and of course, get some take from you. Stay with us, folks. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. All right, let's go from Washington down to the state of Alabama, folks. And I'm joined by my brother Shinedu Wakorafor, as we have these conversations with Brother Shinedu and with you. Brother Shinedu, let's take a trip down to Alabama, where there is a little bit of a controversy down there around the issue of diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, where a new Senate bill that was authored by Senator Will Barfoot, who is a Republican of the Pike Road area down in Alabama. Take a look at this. I want to share this with y'all. This is Senate Bill 129, and what it says, it would prohibit government institutions, including state agencies, public schools, and colleges, from funding a diversity, equity, and inclusion office and from sponsoring DEI programs or any program that advocates for a divisive concept. It would also prohibit higher education institutions from allowing individuals to use a restroom that is different from their sex as assigned at birth. This is a very, very controversial issue. At least 100 college students from across the state of Alabama rallied on the state house down there in Alabama to show their discontent around SB 129. This bill, it has already passed in the Alabama Senate, Brother Sinedu, on February 22nd, and it moved through a committee in the House Tuesday morning. The legislation now awaits a vote on the House floor, which is the final step before it lands on the governor's desk to sign into law. And I think it's interesting that this is happening, and young people in the state of Alabama are on the front lines of making sure that diversity, equity, inclusion stays alive in the state. What's your take, bro?
I think it's good for the people to make their voice heard. But you know what? Everybody loves to quote Martin Luther King. Let's do one of the most important things he did. I think we need to start showing these people proof that we mean business. We see that there's some bill also going on in the South. I forget what state it is. It may be Alabama, maybe Louisiana. That's going to threaten 3 colleges, HBCUs, that will close down. And this is my belief. You all don't want to fund DEI for the schools and stuff like that. This is my opinion. Show your power with the money. Show your power with the money. Seems to be working to get aid to certain parts of certain countries and not others. Maybe we don't bring any economic value into those communities. And it's going to hurt. When they did the Montgomery boycott, it hurt. When they boycotted Coca-Cola, it hurt. But you know what? Sometimes just standing up alone with your voice and not your pocketbook, it leaves us just like a choir, a cacophony, just sounds. Because going on right now with the Republicans, and pay attention, every story week after week on this show, the South is doing everything that they can to prevent next level education. They don't want the people getting any smarter. They don't want the people who are schooling there to get any wiser to certain points. Because if they keep the electorate in the same way that they've been, then you can have folks like Mitch McConnell, who can. Kentucky is one of the poorest states, and he gets voted in every year. It hasn't gotten no richer since he's been there. And the same is for Alabama. I always say, look at these states' finances and look at their literacy rates. It'll tell you everything you need to know. You're here cutting off DE&I. There is something to be said about that. And I think this, personally, I'm glad the young people are standing up, but it's not, I've done the protest thing, and I'm telling you, it's nice, but nothing hits them more than economics.
Oh, that's real talk. That's real talk, bro. That's real talk. But I'm happy that the students take it to the streets first, right? To show some sense of unity and solidarity, right? You got to see some faces. So I'm happy about that. But that's real talk. You got to do the protest side, but then you got to do the economic side. Now, yesterday, more than 100 students, they represented colleges from across the state of Alabama. They really went out because they wanted, and most of these students are white students, folks. So we can't, I mean, if we could throw some pictures up there, at least, if we can get to have them take a quick moment for the pictures. But these are mostly white students that came out to show their discontent around this Senate bill, the state bill. And they have talked about how diversity programs have improved their campus experience. They talked about it, how it made them more equipped for the workplace. And at some point, they say that it even saved their lives, especially some of the female students who said that this bill, SB 129, would threaten programs that help female students get jobs, making accommodations for veterans and international students. Like, there are a lot of people that will be affected by this. And to see young people, young white students kind of taking the lead on this is important. It's very, very important, to say the least, because we need to hear from that group. And it's because they actually represent the next generation of voters. They represent the next generation of voters. Shannon Marsh, thank you for joining us, Shannon. You said, as a mom with 2 teenage daughters, they will not attend any school that has gutted their DEI department. Come on, man. And Sinead, to Shannon's point, how big should DEI be for Black students, for Black parents of Black children? How important should that be in college consideration?
It is so important because history in this country is not even properly taught, and again, you wouldn't need DE&I. Let me put it in other words. Let me take another approach here. Joseph R. Biden, our president, continues to say that he's a Zionist, and he continues to say that Israel has the right to defend themselves, and he says Israel will get everything that they need. Stay with me. I have a point here. Somebody asks, what does this have to do with what we're talking about? Well, we all know what Hitler did, and we all know that after that situation with Hitler and the Holocaust, terrible situation, there was a means of reparations paid to the Jewish state. And on top of the reparations, they made sure that we never forget, because never again. And not only do they make sure that we don't forget, American policy has made sure that we integrated Israel into our policy because they are our big strategic friend in that part of the world, right?
Right.
This is what inclusion looks like. When something happens that causes a group or a person or a people to be left out, you put diverse and equitable and inclusive practices into place so that you may levy those people to a playing ground. See, we don't have a problem with DE&I. We have a problem with DE&I when it comes to Black people. We don't have an issue. We don't have an issue when it's Europe, when it's Ukraine, when it's Israel. We don't have an issue. But don't let it be Black and don't let it be Muslim. When it's Black, Muslim, and brown, all of a sudden we have to do research. We have to check. That is what we're talking about here. What DEI stands for is no different than what we did for the Asian groups after we put them in internment camps in this country. What we did for the Jewish groups, even though we were not the ones who killed them. Look at that. We were looking for their inclusion, and we weren't even the one that kept them away. Isn't that crazy? But the point I'm making is, it's not that we don't understand, because I don't want our people to lose our mind. I think our nation understands what diverse, equity, and inclusion stands for. I think they are afraid, as has been said by many scholars before. America has continued to be afraid of what Black people will do, and it's Black in particular, when we are in power based, or if we get power, because the greatest power belongs to God, in my opinion. But it's the fear of, you will do to me what I did to you. And it has been proven time and time again, that is not of our nature. That is of your nature. So that's the real discussion here, whether people want to talk about it or not. It's the fear of the integration. It's the fear of white people are leading this case, as you said. It's the fear of what happens when those white people and the Black people who've been saying this for generations, for millennia, start to come together. Does that now take down the old guard? That is the issue here.
That is the issue. Let me throw a little something else in here in the conversation very quickly, Brother Sinead, because I've been following this story. If you live in the city of Birmingham, Alabama, you know that your beloved mayor, Birmingham Mayor Randall Woodfin, Mr. Randall Woodfin, he came out before this bill went through the Senate. He came out like a few days ago, and he said and encouraged and advised that Black athletes should avoid Alabama colleges if anti-DEI bill passes. He encouraged Black athletes to avoid the state's public colleges if this bill passes, y'all. Take a listen to what Mr. Mayor had to say when he talked about this, because he was reacting to this bill going through the first part of the process. He asked the question, he said, to the parents of minority athletes who are helping their children decide if they want to play sports at those institutions. He's talking about University of Alabama and Auburn University, which are two of the top programs in the country. He said, would you be cool with your child playing at schools where diversity among staff is actively being discouraged? He said, although I'm the biggest Bama fan, I have no problem organizing Black parents and athletes to attend other institutions outside of the state where diversity and inclusion are prioritized. If supporting inclusion becomes illegal in this state, hell, you might as well stand in front of the school door like Governor George Wallace. This is coming from Mayor Woodfin, the mayor of the city of Birmingham, Alabama. Alabama as a state is nearly 27% Black, folks. College football is big business in the state of Alabama. And the mayor has asked the leadership, athletic directors, and coaches of those colleges whether they supported this proposed law. He put it out there. So even when we take our talents down to the state of Alabama, and I think the mayor asked a great question. Would you let your son, who might be playing in one of these big schools, go to a school where DEI isn't prioritized? Now let's talk about that, because he's essentially calling for some sort of, I don't know if we could say a boycott. I guess we can call it a boycott, right, Brother Shanadu? But would you want that to happen? Would you want to say, I couldn't send my son down to a school knowing that they don't feel they're not creating a space for him to be there as a Black boy grown into a Black man. I couldn't do that. There needs to be a space made for my son, or you ain't getting my son. So that's what the man is saying. Go ahead, brother.
Or this is so crazy. Or just stop being fucking ridiculous. You know, if you really don't want DEI, let's talk about it, because DEI didn't exist forever. If you don't want DEI, then do what the Constitution says. Let me be seen as a human being like everybody else. Let's make space for this country to have great people here. And you know, what's funny about Alabama, such a poor state, I'm gonna keep saying that because economics drives everything, such a poor state, but a vast state. When you think about because let me bring economics into it because it matters. When you think about Joe Biden's IRA, Infrastructure Reduction Act, or whatever it is, Inflation Reduction Act, where it infuses a lot of money into infrastructure. Do y'all know so many foreign companies are trying to come to America and build factories? I'm talking about chip makers, solar makers.
Yeah.
Where do you think they're trying to go to? Places with a swath of land. And we all know that that is the South and the Midwest. Here's going to be your problem, though. When they come to these towns and cities, you know what's going to happen? They're going to need to hire people, because that's what some of these agreements say. You know the problem they're going to have? You're not going to have the diverse talent there, because you all are getting rid of the people who is a Black kid or an Asian kid or a Chinese kid that will come to school and bring their culture. As a young boy, I went to an HBCU as a Black man. But I left an HBCU as a universal man with so much more isms from the white kids who went to the school, from the Asian teachers who taught with their experiences. So it's not just about, is DEI important for my mental? It is good for business. Point blank, period. DEI has always proven to be good for business. And I hate to say it, just like we said about the affirmative action, the biggest population that DEI affects will be white women. It will be white women. That is probably why they're standing up, because white women fall into that category that is not white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant male. Like, this is not new, and this is dangerous, because what happens now is when these factories, my last point, when they do come in and they don't have the diverse talent and diverse high skilled, you got to bust the talent in from other parts of the country. Then what does that now do to the local people who are saying now people are quote unquote taking their jobs?
Oh yeah.
This is a multi-pronged problem right here that could be solved by simply stopping the racism.
That's it, bro. You talking about good politics versus partisan politics. You talking about inclusion versus exclusion. You know what I mean? You're breaking it down, and you're absolutely right. But if you're dealing with people whose minds and whose hearts is bent on one way of doing things, who see the culture, who see this country needs to be quote unquote put back on track, or we need to be taken back. If you're dealing with that mindset, then you're not going to get that type of policy. You're not going to get good policy. You're going to get partisan policy. You're not going to get inclusion. You're going to get exclusion. You're not going to get where the United States is evolving, you're going to get a stagnation that's going to happen. And so it's very important. It's very important. But I'm like the mayor. Like, don't send your children. And a lot of DEIs, this is the final point that I want to make on this point very quickly. I know we got to take a quick pause. But do you know that a lot of DEI, a lot of those affected by DEI, according to the Chronicles of Higher Education, there are already 22 states, folks. 22 states have introduced legislation targeting college diversity and inclusion efforts as of July 2023. In Florida and Texas, some colleges have already terminated dozens of DEI positions and have threatened funding for student groups. In Florida and Texas, now it looks like it may be Alabama added to that. And if you look at those states where those are the most populated states where Black folks are in this country. Florida, Texas. We got to make some changes. And we got to use our presence as a form of political engagement and essentially say, you know what, if those changes aren't made, I'm leaving the state, or I'm going to a place where I'm going to be seen, heard, and appreciated. That's what it comes down to. But diversity, equity, inclusion is being attacked once again. We'll see how this thing works out. And hopefully the students will get a win out of this. If not, Alabama's going to be back to old Alabama once again. And it's not going to be pretty. My brother, Sinedu Wakofor, thank you so much, brother, for joining us once again for another set of great conversations with you. And we truly appreciate you. And God willing, we'll reconnect with you next week.
Thank you for having me, brother. Peace.
Absolutely. All right, folks, let's take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's get into some stuff about relationships, all types of relationships. First, let's talk about the viral sensation of Reesa Teesa. This is the young lady that created the 50-part series on TikTok. Now she has officially gone Hollywood, signing with one of the top publicity agencies in the world as she told her story. And we're going to talk about the implications of telling your story and how to go viral and how it may not be the thing that you want to go for. We'll have that conversation later on. We'll talk about how Black hairstylists and their clients are at war with one another as Black women are pushing back on industry standards and professionalism. So stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to the conversation. Welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the discussion. Let's switch gears. Let's stop talking a little politics and let's start talking about some of the cultural things that are happening. And I'm always excited to have these conversations with one of our new contributors here on the culture, my sister Coach Trinette Collier, to talk to us a little bit. There you go. Coach Trinette is in the chat.
Hey.
In the building.
In the building.
Coach Trinette does a fantastic job in providing life coaching and relationship coaching. And you can follow her on all social media platforms. Coach, let's give your socials out very quickly before we get started. Where they can find you at?
All social media platforms. I am Trinette L. Collier.
That's awesome. I am Trinette L. Collier. All right, Coach, we truly appreciate you as always. Let's talk about something that we discussed before. Now it's taken into a whole different space. I did not see this coming, Coach. I did not see this coming. But apparently, the viral sensation of TikToker Reesa Teesa has not just gone viral, she gone Hollywood in some cases, right?
Yeah.
It has been reported, folks, just a couple of days ago that she has officially signed with publicity giant CAA, Creative Artists Agency. So, of course, Reesa Teesa is the star known for her Who the F Did I Marry online series, which made her an overnight success. Let me tell you how big this series of 50 parts on TikTok really went. 400 million impressions.
Wow.
In under 3 weeks. Now, there's so much to unpack here, but apparently by her signing with Reesa, with CAA, excuse me, she said, quote, "I am excited to join the CAA family in what has become an extraordinary and life-changing opportunity. I hope to bring this story and personal experiences to an even bigger platform with the hope of helping those in similar situations know they are not alone." She is being represented. Now, if you're not familiar with CAA, like I said, they're one of the largest publicity firms in the world. You're talking about A-listers. Now, they not only represent actors, they do writers, they do a lot of different creatives on many different levels. I'm telling you, it is hard to get signed to CAA just to get them to look at you, But here's the thing, though, Coach Trinette, when we look at how this how her story, she was featured on the Tamron Hall show. She was featured on Good Morning America.
Yeah.
She's been talked about on The Breakfast Club. All because of this story of her 5-month wedding to a man that she says is a pathological liar with all of his twists and turns and all of these things. Even he, the so-called Legion, has put out a video saying that she did some stuff and that led to him doing some stuff. But what does this say about how people are describing their relationships, more importantly? Now, my concern is, and you tell me if this is your concern as well. My concern is that we're going to get more and more people using social media, especially like TikTok, to just unload. Unload. Now, Reesa Teesa said that this was her form of therapy.
Okay.
She said it was cathartic for her to get on this platform and to kind of share, even though it might make her look crazy in some cases and vulnerable in others. Now she has a CAA deal. Oh, I didn't even mention. Let's not even forget something else, y'all. Not only did she get a CAA deal, can we also say that during the course of her story, her ex-husband had promised her that she would receive a BMW X5. How come BMW actually reached out to the sister and said initially that they were going to give her a car?
Really?
Now they're under fire because they are kind of pulling back on that. They're pulling back on that. But they initially said that they wanted to give her a car. Along with, this is crazy, yo.
Wow.
Hilton and Delta, who have offered to assist with her international travel plans to London and Paris, as well as she tried to figure out what's going on with her ex-husband. But she put it out there. She put it out there that BMW was initially going to give her a BMW X5 with cognac interior. That was the initial promise. That ain't no ugly looking vehicle, I'm telling y'all. And then all of a sudden they decided to, she said that she has not gotten a car from BMW. They pulled back on that. And so now BMW is under some fire for not giving her that $65,000 truck. Y'all, off of a TikTok video?
I need to
come on, coach, say something. Talk to me here.
You know, I have to be very careful as a professional relationship coach. You know, I have to take my feelings out of this because my personal feelings, because again, so many of us women have become authors, and to tell our same type of stories, right? And so it makes you think, and it was funny because a few of us, we had this group chat going. We were like, we did everything wrong. We went to editing, publishing, doing the, writing the book. We just got on TikTok. It told our story. And so, and I want people to understand it's not about the hate but I'm very happy for if this is part of her release journey. But I'm also concerned that if she stated that this was part of her therapy, is she actually going to therapy? Because, putting it out there on the public platform, what is it really doing for you? What did it really do to it? Was it valuable venting, or were you trying to get back at the at your ex-husband? I did recently see that she had blocked the baby's mother, who's a young woman, and it's becoming combative or whatnot. So my question is, what are you expecting out of all of this? And was this your goal? Was it your goal to put this out and become famous in a matter of less than a month, in a matter of 3 weeks or so?
3 weeks.
3 weeks, and now you have a deal with CAA. There are so many people with stories, and I'm talking about, and not to say she does not have receipts, but you have people who've been trying to get their stories out, And and so one of my questions is, what made this story so special? Because to be honest, it's the same story as many of us, so that's my question. Like, what made her story so relevant that she got a Hollywood deal just that quickly, right? And then I'm also wondering, are we so addicted to trauma and drama that we have that much time to tune in, that much time to hype this person up, that much time to, say, you go, girl, I'm glad you're getting your story out and whatnot, and forget about the drama that she's got, the trauma that she's experienced. And now you have this cycle, because now the ex-husband, he's trying to do his thing. So is he hoping for the same type of deals? Like, are we going to give him the same type of space so he can tell his story? We got to be sure about this thing,
And I think those are great questions, to be honest with you, sis. I think, Trinette, those are like really good questions. And let me just add to that. I know we got to take another pause, but let me just quickly add to that, if I can. I think that, going back to your first point, did you ever get therapy?
Right.
Or did you get retail therapy? Right? Like, but did you really get therapy? Did you get the help that you needed? Now, I'm not mad at the sister for sharing her story, because she didn't ask for this, right?
Right.
And so, to Tiana, to your point, you brought up, she said, Tiana, I know you asked the question, so are you hoping for a Black woman's downfall? No, this is not hoping for a Black woman's downfall at all. I think this is more indicative of where we are in our culture, that we can use social media and we get straight to, quote unquote, we get to the top, right? If this is your story and this is supposed to be therapeutic, that's one thing. And I'm not saying, like, if I put out something on social media and then I'm getting all this attention and I'm getting all these deals, I'm not going to be like, no, I don't want no deal from y'all because this wasn't the purpose of me. That wasn't my intent. No, I understand that. That's human nature. But I do think that in terms of where we are in our relationship to social media platforms and being our authentic selves, I think that's the part that I'm really concerned about, because now more and more of us, and it may not be anyone in the crew, it may not be folks that watching right now, but y'all ever notice that more and more people that get on social media, spend time on social media, become a little bit more extreme. We just start inching toward, because we want the likes.
Yeah.
We want to be the viral sensation. So now we at a point, I think, in this culture where we are doing things, as the song said, just for clout, right? Like, we're getting to it. Does it open a door for people to embellish their stories a little bit more?
Yeah. Because from my understanding, there is another woman, as I mentioned before, there's another woman that is calling her out because she literally has the same type of story that's been out on YouTube for the past year and a half. And it was a series. And when you go and look at her series, it's like, oh, wow. Okay. So, again, I'm not hating on the sister. I'm actually happy for her, because she did go through a lot. And as I stated before, she did say she took accountability. She saw those red flags. She was desperate. She wanted, these things. But in turn, this is what happened. So I'm just worried, like, now, what is the next? What is the plan now? Now that you're a sensation, now that you're at the top, what is your next? What is going to happen now? Are you completely healed? Are you, have you gone through the healing process to start a new relationship or whatnot? Are you going to speak against men? What is the agenda behind it? Because sometimes these situations will turn you against, and then what is your message to other women? Or will it be a positive message? Not saying, because she seems to be a very positive woman, and just from some conversations with others who know her, they they had nothing but good things to say about her. But I'm just worried, what is the next step for her? Because after all of that calms down, once you're like done, what is the after? That's one of my concerns.
That's a great question. I think that's a great question. I think that's a valid question, Coach. I think that is an important question because we might start seeing some sort of mimicry. We might start seeing more people and more women telling their stories. Because look, I know Black women, y'all go through a lot, man. Y'all go through a lot dealing with us. Y'all go through a lot with dealing with the shortcomings within yourself. Y'all go through a lot. So next thing you know, we're going to get more. Are we going to expect to get more and more Black women coming on these social media platforms to tell their story, to speak their truth to the point that they want to get paid, they want to get seen, they want to get represented, they want to, they want to create a Lifetime movie and stuff, right? And I get it, but everybody doesn't need to be exposed,
right?
Everybody doesn't need to be exposed.
But who's to say though everybody doesn't need? So now you're going to come into that like.
And I know, and I don't want to be nobody want to be the culture police. You don't want to come in and be like, no, you can't do this and you can't do that.
Yeah.
But is there a boundary? And I think that's the point that you're making, right, Coach? That is there a boundary? Like, how far does this go?
Yeah.
How far does this go? We got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's get some of the some comments from the crew. Folks, stay post your comments as we're streaming live on Big Brother Roland Martin's Facebook page and his YouTube channel. What do you make of this? The viral sensation of Reesa Teesa. She now has a CAA deal with a major publicity firm. She also is getting deals or getting some sort of promises from some other brands. And she's taking her story, quote unquote, to the next level. What do you make of it? How do you see it? What does it say about our social media engagement and how we handle trauma in our lives? Stay with us. The conversation continues on the other side, right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20036-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Joined by my sister, Coach Trinette Collier, who is a relationship and life coach, to give us some insight on this latest viral sensation of Reesa Teesa, as we talk about this Black woman, this sister, who has put out this series talking about her marriage and her relationship with a person whom she characterized as a pathological liar, Legion, her ex-husband, and the ups and downs and all of the promises and the whole story.
Yeah.
And it has captured the attention of many people across this country. 400 million impressions on TikTok.
Wow.
For her 50-part story that she did. It has garnered her appearances on national televised shows. Mm-hmm. She's been the talk of Black media. Mm-hmm. And she has officially just signed with one of the top publicity firms in the world, Creative Artists Agency, CAA. The other one is WME, the William Morris Endeavor Agency. Mm-hmm. And she's likely to move further along. She calls this a life-changing event and opportunity as we talk about this. Now, I want to just put this in perspective because my sister Lori Parks, who I truly appreciate, but Lori shared a very understandable sentiment, making a point. And she said, well, why are we even talking about this? Why are we even discussing it? And to Lori's point, I understand the sentiment, but y'all know, we can't bring nothing onto the culture without having some deeper understanding of it. Yeah. We're talking about it for a couple of reasons. I think, Coach, we need to talk about it because we do have a very, quote unquote, I don't want to be judgy, but it can be a traumatic or in some cases dysfunctional relationship with social media.
Yeah.
Using it as our own personal diary in some cases, right? So we could talk about that. We could talk about how many of us have changed as a result of social media.
Yeah.
Behavior, our view of the world, have changed as a result of social media.
Yeah.
Right. So we could talk about that. We could talk about the culture in terms of how you monetize now. Like I was reading and preparing for this conversation, Coach. Mm-hmm. It made me think about the fact that you have a lot of people that are out there who say that they are content creators. These are people that, create this content for social media.
Yes.
And with the hope that their content will take them to Hollywood, will take them to the next level. Mm-hmm. But there's still something about, it's one thing to be a content creator versus another thing to be a legitimate filmmaker.
Yeah.
There's one thing to be a content creator and another thing to be a legitimate writer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could be Instagram funny, but that don't bring you to Netflix special funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that it's important that we kind of reassess all of these things, these dynamics, mm-hmm. and because we are going further along. I mean, if we think about how many times our people are, how many people are actually on social media, and how we are shaped by social media, it is mind blowing. Am I wrong in thinking in all of this, Coach? And you can tell me if I'm wrong.
I don't think you're wrong. I'm talking back and forth with your crew, and they're making some excellent points. I think as a Black woman, I agree. We should be angry at some point, and we shouldn't be silenced in our stories. Because again, her story is just like so many others that's out here. A lot of us don't know how to, get it out, because at some point, there's a point where it's like, oh, you don't tell your story. You're not supposed to share it, or you just share it with your therapist or with your family members or whatnot. And so I guess for her, it was she was taking that chance and say, hey, let me share my story. Let me see. I don't know what her thought process was. Again, I'm just concerned that she will continue to, be positive and stay firm in her and grounded in who she is. And so that she won't become overwhelmed or swept by social media and now Hollywood and so forth. I don't want them to make her into the poster woman, as a Black traumatized woman.
Come on, you gotta say that one, so Coach. You gotta say that one. Wow,
because that ends up being the narrative. When I released my story, the first thing people were like, "Oh, you were angry," and I was like, "Yeah, I was angry. I got cheated on. What did you want me to do? Hop around in roses and what was I supposed to do?" But this is a chance that you take when you release your story. So I just don't want, I don't want the same people who brought her up, who pushed her up on social media. You know how people can quickly turn on you. We are good for that. We will quickly turn on you. And I just really pray that she has a group of her tribe that can really keep her focused and grounded during this journey, because she is a very positive. She's a sweet person. Like I said, from others that I know, she is a very sweet person, and she went through some things. But I just don't want the world, I don't want social media to make her that poster woman,
But a lot of social media, that's what social. That's the part I'm talking about here, Coach. Yeah. That's the part that like people act as. Some people. It depends on. I'm trying to get the words out, but it depends on how you approach the medium, how you approach the platform. Now, some people will say, "I only use it for business purposes." That's fine. Then you have another group of people who don't use it for business purpose. They use it as their personal diary, right? Yeah. They chronicle each day and all of the moments and the events that happen during the course of the day, right?
Yeah.
Then you got some folks out there who just only use that space to promote pain.
Yeah.
And to unload trauma.
Yeah.
Right? And for those of us who are consuming, scrolling, taking all of this stuff in, you know what I'm saying? This gets on our thinking, right? Yeah. If you look at your follower list or if you look at the network of people who you engage the most on, what kinds of information? Now, some people want to share memes all day. Some people want to share Bible quotes and all types of stuff, right? But it's just consummation. We're consuming so much.
Yeah.
About stuff that don't really matter, right? And so by the time we have serious conversations about the stuff that does supposed to matter, we either don't have the attention or we don't have the understanding.
We don't, because it's
because our minds are just like all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I really don't. I would say for me personally, it's not healthy. I don't want to read somebody's trauma all day, every day. I take trauma and I learn from take the lessons and I learn from it. And I'm like, okay, let me see what I can do differently. But sometimes we do have a habit of recycling the trauma, and the pain. And then we rehearse it and it becomes part of us. And then we rehearse it in our relationships. And then we're having these toxic relationships, and then we refer back to, well, see, that's what she said, or that's what they said in the book, or whatnot, that type of deal. And I'm, and we take the healing, we get our healing through social media, and that's not always healthy. Like, it's just not healthy to get your healing through social media. But for her, she did. They said that she did go to therapy and whatnot, and that's good. So I'm praying that she is continuing her healing journey and that she's ready. And maybe this was a part of, she didn't know this journey, because your life takes a turn from tragedies, and so this could be her, that story, that moment in her life that she's been waiting for unexpectedly and whatnot. That other than that, I'm happy for it. It's different because, again, for over 400 million
impressions,
right, in a matter of 3 weeks, that it speaks a lot for us, especially women, because I did see the majority of them, and then I'm just afraid that it's going to have that decisive, the division in our relationships between men and women, Black men and Black women.
That's true. It's got to. It does have to have a balance.
I'm looking at it.
No, I agree with that. All right, Justice Watch, you said, welcome to the chat, Justice Watch. You said, I think the only time I read is in a chat, but I always look for the video on YouTube before I ever look for a book. That's sad. That's a very real, outcome of us being so ingrained into social media that we look for a video instead of the book. Thank you, Justice Watch. Let me see. Blue, you said, why does Reesa Teesa have to have an after? Let her enjoy the moment. She's a good storyteller. Not everyone can do what she did. Wish her nothing but success.
Yeah, most definitely.
I don't know, and I'm interested, Blue, and welcome to the chat. I would love to know, you said not everyone can do what she did. I don't think everybody can. I think it's like a lightning in a bottle type of thing. It's like the Cat Williams interview, right?
Yeah.
60 million views plus. We were all swept up in it, man. Now, as we saw on Brother Roland, when he went on Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, then he started saying some things that became misinformation, problematic. When he was on Club Shay Shay, it was like, oh, that's the truth.
Yeah.
And now we kind of you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because we don't know.
Because we don't know. And some of us, and I'm gonna say this, y'all. I'm gonna say this, Coach. Some of us take large numbers as being the truth. So if somebody, and you got to remember that just because a certain interview or some information might be supported by large numbers, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth.
Right. Yeah.
But sometimes we look at that metric and say, oh man, he must be speaking the truth. 60 million people viewed it.
60 million. We were all locked in for 4 hours.
We were all locked in, but then we look back and we say, well, menthol cigarettes? We start hearing, and I mean,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And then it starts to be this other thing. So to that point, thank you so much, Blue, for checking in. Let me see, Dululi, you said something, and I want to say this. You said, I think the problem is the reaction, that it became a commodity. Sounds like swept up in another system of abuse by vultures. And I think this is exactly what you were getting at, Coach, when you're saying that when our stories become a commodity, and this is, y'all know what I'm about to say. If you don't, trust, here to go. This is what it means to be a part of a system called capitalism. When everything you do becomes a commodity, your identity, your story, it becomes a part of some larger system to gain some material benefit, right? It can't just be and I'm not saying Reesa Teesa was looking for that. I don't think she was expecting any of this.
Yeah.
But I think that that's what capitalism and some elements of the social media culture will do, is to commodify your existence, my existence, our feelings, our experiences. It commodifies our thinking, right? And so again, we try to just completely remove the humanity from a situation and we become some other thing, something that can be sold and bought and paid for.
Yeah.
Let me see who else. Good point, Deluli. Thank you so much for checking in. Janae, you said, Tiana, the book may come after people read or cop the book after they know who you are, viral sensation, but you get more eyeballs visually before you get them to read.
Well, that's the way we're going. That's what we're doing now.
Nobody gonna read your story now.
No, because
if you come
now
out with a book,
they're gonna expect you to tell your story on one of the social media platforms, and it's going to be validated. It's going to be like, that's truth. They told it on social media, so And again, I'm just concerned now that you're going to have a slew of people sharing their stories, and I can't say if it's right or wrong, because it's like us authors, is this going to be a new genre of storytelling? So I'm not going to say it's wrong or right. I'm just going to say that if you're going to tell your life story, your true story, make it authentic. Be authentic and know the pros and cons of sharing your story, because it's good to see all of the comments to say, yeah, girl, go girl, you did right. But it's also something different when, you have people questioning your truth, or, really start digging into your life and so forth. So, we have to be mindful. I personally did not want to share my story. So for me, it was a difference. And so many other women who've gone through this, it was a difference. However, again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but just be careful, be mindful that if you're ready to share your story, you're going to have to get ready for the entire world, the audience, if you decide to share your story online.
Absolutely. Davey Floater, Davey, you said something. I love this term, Trinette. Davey said, attention economy. I love that term, because that's exactly the space that we in. We want eyeballs always looking at something that we're doing. Attention economy plus racialized capitalism plus influencer culture equals a nasty combo. And I think you're right on, Davey, because in none of those things that you said is human beings, emotions, the human experience. None of that is a part of that. Part of that equation. We have become other than that. You know what I'm saying? We don't have minds. We don't have hearts. We don't have spirits. We don't have emotions. We don't have any of those things in this system of things of social media, capitalism, attention economy plus racialized capitalism plus influencer culture equals a nasty combo. Man, man.
That's profound. Yeah.
That's deep. That's deep. Thank you, Davey, for posting that. All right, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about Black hairstylists versus their own clients and why Black women are fighting back. And guess what? How they're doing it? They're going on TikTok. That's right. They're going on TikTok to talk about their discontent with Black women who are more concerned about looking good than actually providing good service. Stay with us. That conversation is up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my sister and contributor, Coach Trinette Collier. Let's talk a little bit, Coach, about something that is near and dear to a lot of women's hearts.
Yes, the hair.
And now the hair care industry.
Woo.
This is an interesting piece. NBC News did a little piece around how Black hair industry stylists are now seem to be going to at war with their own clients because of a number of issues. And they call it the complex battle between Black hairstylists and their clients, from everything dealing with policies such as no refunds, no short hair, no cancellations, and deposit required.
You want another one that I can add to that?
Come on, add it.
If your head is big.
Really? If your head is too big, they won't. What is it? Wait.
Happened to me.
Are you serious?
I am so serious.
Okay, so if your head is too big, then what happens? Like that you got to get charged more?
I got charged extra because my head was too big and I had too much hair.
Can I would tell the stylist, send a bill to God and to my mother because she shaped my head when I was in the womb. Are you serious?
I am so serious.
Your head is too big, and so they charge you more? What did they say? Well, you have more acreage of head space and hair.
I was literally in shock. I said, wait a minute, this is
Was this from a Black woman too? Like a Black sister?
Yes.
Damn, I ain't never heard that one.
I didn't either. I was embarrassed and in shock, but it was.
She said it in front of everybody? She whispered that to you?
No, it took me, when we went up to the counter to pay, and it was a different price. And I'm
how much more? Wait a minute, hold on. I got y'all. Hold on. I got it. How much more did they charge you?
$50-some more.
Just because your head size?
Because they said it took them too long to braid my hair because the size of my head. I kid you not.
I'm gonna ask my sisters in the crew if they ever heard that one. And it's not that I don't believe you. I'm just saying, like, I've never heard it.
You should have saw me standing there like, huh? What do you mean? I said, come again? No, it was. I had my hair braided, and I knew that if I did not pay what they were gonna do, and I'm just like, wow. And at that time, I didn't think about going on social media to do, to do all of that because it was embarrassing. But yeah. I called all of my friends that day. I said, I know my head has been big, but did y'all know I just got charged? So yes, this is.
So what did your friends network say? What did your sisters network say?
I mean, basically they were like in shock as well, and they really just was like, oh wow, is this what we're coming to? Like, So yeah, this whole combativeness between the stylist and the client, it's real. It is real.
So this is what NBC News reported on this. Let's post quote one, please, Lee. That many customers are saying getting their hair done has gone from being a communal cultural experience to a hassle and an overall bad time. Some hairstylists and customers blame the gig economy, lamenting that some stylists are more passionate about making money than providing good service. But others say stylists deserve more grace as they contend with demanding and sometimes unreasonable clients. The overall tension is leading some professionals to share their business acumen and customer service knowledge with those trying to break into the industry. Do you agree with that, Coach?
Yeah, I think some of the stylists, the newer stylists, because I'm very blessed to have some. I keep 4 good braiders with me. And I have about 3 good hairstylists that I've developed a relationship over time. But there were times where it was like either charged too much, or the deposits were just ridiculous, or the stylist, came up with some excuse, but you're still expected to pay full price, and I started noticing that trend because a lot of people some of the stylists that I was talking to before, they were like, because people run out on them. And I get that. You do have those clients, those people that run out on their services and whatnot, and it makes the rest of us suffer for it, unfortunately. But some of these policies I really don't get it. I really don't understand, honestly. And
I don't get. I have never Well, I think it's important, and I mean, this is an important part of the conversation because, I think that all of us, especially for men, is what I mean. I think especially more so for women than men. Like, it took me when I moved here to Los Angeles. It took me kind of forever to find my barber, like the guy that's going to understand how to cut my hair. Then at the same time, I got locked, so I had to find around because here in LA, they'll charge you a whole child and a half to do some retwist and I'm already. I'm coming to the stylist like, how much?
Right.
I got my own hair. You don't have to put new hair in.
Yeah.
Like, y'all charge it, and then this is what I often heard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got the rent to pay for.
Yeah.
Y'all, some of these places are hole in the walls, man.
Yeah.
Y'all probably paid that rent. That rent probably been paid for. That more, man, you paying taxes. You're not just paying on nobody rent from these buildings from 1975, man.
Right. And that also leads you into thinking, what's your business structure? That's not good. You don't have a good business structure or a system in place. When you're aiming for the money, your systems are not in place because you're going to make the money if you have these systems in place and good business structure, and you're doing what you're supposed to do. So when you're just going for the money, just charging stuff, you don't have anything in place. At least that's what I could say on some of these businesses, because you're right. You're at home and you're charging $300, $400, $500 for some box braids. Plus, I had to get my own hair. Nah. Mm-hmm.
No, we're not doing it.
We're not doing it.
Hey, look. I know too many women and this is why. And one of the things that this is about this ongoing complex battle is that a lot of these sisters who are doing hair, and there's no shade to those sisters who do hair, but they're not getting licensed.
No,
you're not going. And see, again, one of the big concerning factors is that a lot of the sisters who are doing hair are doing it for social media fame, right?
Yeah.
But you're not getting licensed. Let me just share this quote from one sister who is a licensed hairstylist. Let's go to quote 2. This is the problem, she said, facing Black women. She said, "It's really hard to get people in the chairs that are licensed," said Naima Finley, who is she's a licensed hairstylist and owner of the Curly Girls Rock. She said, which is a salon in Smyrna, Georgia, in your area.
Yeah.
She said, a lot of people become famous on social media and then try to get into the industry without actually holding a license. People are finding that instead of going to school for a year, I could just do natural hair and get away with some things that aren't getting caught by inspectors. And this is the problem, because social media, I'm going back on my thing, but I'm just saying that we're more concerned with the look of a situation instead of being like, it's like getting a contractor come to your house. He up there taking selfies while he's trying to fix your plumbing.
Right.
And you're like, hey, bro, you going to fix the plumbing or you going to make a post? What are we doing? What are we doing? It'd be like, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to just tell y'all how to do this plumbing.
I'm making content.
I'm making content on how to do this. Just the type of pipe you need.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, like you're shortcutting the professionalism over quality.
Yeah.
And the one of the parts about this is that, you have, especially you have these salon spaces where you can rent out a little suite. Like, let me just tell y'all something. Let's keep it real, Coach. How many of us go to get our hair done, whether it's barbershop or a beauty salon? And we ask the question, hey, are you licensed? Or do you look for a license on the wall somewhere? How many of us do that?
For the license.
I look for my license.
I look for the license. I want to know.
Because that's the first thing an inspector does when they come into a barbershop or beauty or hair salon. They make sure that all the folks there are licensed. Now, I get it. Times are hard. Rent is high. So sometimes you might give somebody a chair who may not be licensed, but they just got the skill set.
Right.
Because you want a little extra money. Because you're trying to pay the rent for the space. I understand it, but at the same time, you can't shortcut professionalism in quality service.
You cannot. And this is where, if you are an owner of one of those salon suites and you're bringing people in that are unlicensed, this is where you as an owner should take that ownership and say, listen, we're gonna push you to higher education in this field. I don't want you just to be in here, braiding hair. I want you to get some education about it so that you can go further. Like, what is that vision that you have for your shop and for the people that you're hiring? Or if you're not in the shop, same thing. If you're braiding out of your hair, out of your house or home, what is your vision for it? Are you just there to make some change, or is this really what you want to do? And if you really want to do this, then you're going to take the necessary precautions to do, because again, even though you're braiding someone's hair and you don't have to have a license here in the state of Georgia to braid, you still need to be careful, because some of y'all picking up hair off the floor.
But see, here's the thing, and here's the thing very quickly. Here's the thing too, because when you don't have that license, when you don't have, and Tiana, you said a license will keep you in business, right? Mm-hmm. And this is the part where the professionalism comes in. If you're dealing with a licensed stylist, and then, that person keeps up on all of their professional credentials, mm-hmm. they stay in business, and they want that means that they want to earn your business by doing quality work. Right. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But if you become, and I get it, because times are hard, and I get it. Everybody can't kick out, hundreds of dollars to get I totally get that. So you got to ask yourself, like, okay, how do I fit? You got to figure this thing out. You got to figure this thing out, right? But I think that it's an industry, and like I said, I didn't really see it until I came out here in LA, and I was just like, damn, like haircut prices, just normal stuff. I mean, I got lots, y'all. I got lots. Right. It should not cost hundreds of. Like, if I just say, yo, give me a shape up, like, yo, that's gonna cost you. Like, bro, it's a shape up. All I'm asking you is to put the blade on the face, bro. Just line it up real good for me. That's it.
500. That's 500 plus a tip.
Like, bro, I live in Hollywood. I live in Hollywood. I live in Hollywood. I ain't in Hollywood yet, bro. Come on, chill out.
That ain't including the tip now. So yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you want a tip?
Right.
Always wear your seatbelt. That's your tip, brother. Thank you for your time.
See, they're gonna ban you.
No, because here's the thing.
Yeah.
When you have those type of services provided by our people, mm-hmm. is it important to build the reputation, build the service? Is that important? Is to build that relationship, to build up your clientele, or is it important to just get money? If it's just important to just get money, to get on social media, to do that, to do the external stuff, then I don't want it. I don't want it. I need somebody, and I'm serious. I look for the license. I want somebody that knows what the hell they're doing when they touch me. I'm very particular about that. So I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want you to know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't want you, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't care if you're never on social media. I just want you to do quality work.
Exactly. I agree.
Justice Watson, $500. I need a new career. Come on, man. So do I. Karen, my sister, you said, I'll introduce you to my licensed, experienced braider stylist. She was trained by an African, has celebrity clients, and charges excellent prices. She is professional and on time. I hear that. I got one. I definitely got one, Karen. But you know what? I could always use another one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I learned. That's what I learned. All right, we're going to have to wrap this up. Let me see something here. Who else is it? Tiana, you said this all comes down to customer service. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And Jawan, you said these prices are why I wear my hair in a ponytail. And when I saw the prices of a mani and pedi, I almost passed clean out. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Lori Parks, you said they have businesses and condemned businesses. I'm done with y'all, man. Condemned buildings, businesses and condemned buildings.
Yeah.
The businesses be in buildings that aren't even up to the health code. You be walking in there. You be walking in and be like, yeah, it's the one with the boarded up with the wood on the front of the door. You be like, come around the back.
Yep.
How much are you gonna do? How much you charge for a wash retwist and lock? About $500.
Be like, that's okay. I twist up.
That's all right. I can do this. I can do this. I
twist up my own.
Real quick, Trinette, how do we create better relationships with those who provide those services with us? What do we need to do, say, to make sure that we get better service?
You just
especially with Black stylists, because you know how we I'm sorry, just want to throw this out there with Black stylists who are sensitive about their money, who are sensitive about the quality of the work. It's a hard conversation that we need to have, but how do we do that?
You just get to know, you do a mini interview. Just get to know the person that you want touching your head, and you have the right to ask questions, and you build that rapport with them. That's what I've always done, and I will continue to do, to build that rapport with them. Get to know them, ask them questions. You have that right.
Absolutely. Cece, you bring up something very quickly. You said, and I like for my son to leave a good tip. Please tell about the hair on the floor. We're a locked couple. He's a year longer than me. Not been to a shop, hair on the floor. Tell it. Leaving a tip. I believe this, and this is really and I agree with you there, having a conversation. But then if you show that you are a reasonable or responsible client, that you're willing to leave a tip, that you're willing to provide, to bring that person new business, they can see that they need to take a little bit more time. Now, if you're dealing with a person that's not licensed, or you're dealing with, some kind of, and I understand it, but you got to set those boundaries. You got to set those boundaries. And it's so unfortunate. There are sisters that in this NBC article, they were saying sisters who go on TikTok, they amass hundreds of thousands of views for their stories of being with bad Black hairstylists. And it's such a shame, a shame.
Yeah.
It's such a shame to see so many Black women treat Black women like that, but they don't come up. They be forgetting to, they forget about the appointments. They don't communicate well. Man, please.
Yeah.
Man, please. Yeah. It's such a shame. So I hope that the relationship gets better.
Yeah.
I really hope that relationships get better. Yeah. I wish a barber would tell me, yo, before you come in, I need like a $40 deposit.
Listen, yeah.
And then I get in the chair, he'd be like, yo, you know what? I need to boost it up another $70, another $30 because your head too big.
See, you know what?
Yo, I didn't expect your head to be oval shaped, bro. Like, what can I say? I didn't expect you to have the egg head, bro. Like, I'm just saying, that extra lock in the back just threw me off. My sister Trinette Collier, Coach Trinette. This is crazy, bro. My sister and Coach Trinette Collier, thank you so much for being with us today. How can I put out your social for us one more time?
It is I am Trinette L. Collier on all social media platforms.
There it is right there. And Coach Trinette Collier joins us here on The Culture every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, talking about all that is culture, all the stuff about the culture, relationships, and so much more. And we look forward to having her back on the show with us next week. Thank you, Coach, for being so good for the culture.
Bye.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. I thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Big shout out to the new watchers, new online culture crew members. I see y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the show, and we'll be back with us tomorrow and again and again and again. And I truly appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all go to our website today at Black Star Network, and you can check us out on our website at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media at Black Star Network. Follow Big Brother Roland Martin on Black Star on his social media platform, and me, The Real Farajii. Y'all can check me out there on Instagram. I would love to get some new followers and get some new folks to connect with. You can find me on Instagram at The Real Farajii and at Farajii on the X platform. All right, folks, stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Have a great evening. Talk to you soon. Peace.